Buy a basket case, they said. It'll go together in a weekend. All the parts are there. And just bolt back together. This is what's left after about 12 other buckets and bins and boxes. I consolidated these all into this. This is about 10% of what I started with. It was an unbelievable puzzle. Less of a basket case, more of a puzzle. So I know phase one of this car is just going to be to probably just turn the engine over. Probably not even start it. Probably do a compression test once we get the starter engaged, just to make sure all the cylinders are even and have enough compression to ignite a fire, really. So I made a small list of things to buy. Fuel pressure regulator. I think that pump puts out about 6 psi, and I'll have to pull out that Weber box and see what it needs. But a regulator and a filter, for sure we're going to need that. Battery and cables. So I think that's really all we're going to need for step one. Hook up those things, hook up a couple wires, and then we're going to hit the button, see if this guy starts. But I got to put liquid in the engine, oil rather. And this is a canister style fuel filter. It drops inside the housing. And I needed that spring. That's what you saw me looking for earlier. I tried to assemble that without the spring earlier, and it was clear that wasn't going to work. But our parts pile back here is very small. In fact, as I was digging through here just a second ago, found a fuel filter. Future me is very happy. Well, that leaves us with just battery cables and a fuel regulator. That should be an easy fix. So, let's see what's next. We're going to need a coil here. And the coil, I believe, mounts here, probably pointing down. Bam. Coiled. She coiled. Now where's my coil lead? Is that it right here? Sure is. Maybe I should have figured out how to hook this up before I bolted that coil down. Bet you that's why it was off there. I think you want some of that insulation to kind of help retain the lead in there. Well, I'm not sure which one of these spark plug leads is going to be number one on the distributor. I can deduce that that's probably cylinder number one on the engine. So I think what I'm going to do is take out the spark plugs and turn the engine over by hand until I see piston number one at top dead center, and then figure out where my rotor's pointing. Yeah, brand new, never been fired. Figure out which direction my rotor's going to point. Index that to the cap, and then we'll call that one cylinder number one on the cap. There's top dead center. That was the breakover point. So that is top dead center on either the compression or the exhaust stroke, one of the two. So there's a 50-50 chance I'm going to set this distributor up correct. Let me go find my rotor and figure out which way that's pointed. Yeah. The rotor arm and condenser. So that points up to about 2 o'clock. Let's see, it goes about like that. So 2 o'clock on there would be probably that guy. So that'll be our number one of our longest lead. Tighten down that set screw. All right, well, 3 more times, and we'll be golden. I got tired of fiddling around and I just pulled the distributor, and it looks like I can clock at 180. So if I do get those plug wires off 180, I can just pull the distributor, rotate 180, stuff it back in, and it's going to run just fine. But I did notice there's some wires that are just about toast here, and this guy, it's $3. So I've got a new one of those coming, and my timing plate doesn't quite move like I think it should. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time, clean this up, throw a new condenser in it. So while we're waiting on those parts to get here, I'll go ahead and swap this carburetor over and figure out exactly what I'm going to do about a fuel pressure regulator and where I'm going to mount it, or if it's even needed really. And this should come off as one piece here. And here is the Weber carburetor. We have here air filter. Here's the intake. That's really what I bought this carburetor for. If I do decide to throw that Holley EFI on here, at minimum I'm going to need this because Holley doesn't make one of those. This thing is absolutely packaged. There it is. It has a, sorry for all the noise. I think it's like a progressive Venturi system where one side's a 32, one side's a 36 millimeter. Cast aluminum intake. Installation instructions. Pierce manifolds. Looks like that's who they contracted these manifolds out to. Sure enough, right there, Pierce, USA. Let's make sure it fits. It doesn't freaking fit. It's hitting right here. I don't know what that is on this manifold, but it's not going to fit. Not going to work. This is aluminum, and I can't weld that. This is steel, and I can, but I'm going to have to shave that whole side of that off and build a different plate system. I don't even know what is going on here. It's supposed to be a direct bolt-on, so how frustrating it's been. About 400 bucks worth of good money for a direct bolt-on kit, and have to start cutting on it right out of the box. Welcome back to another day in the shop. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning and I just got off of work. Night shift life. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I've got a couple hours to burn this morning and I thought I would show you a little bit better what we discovered with this intake manifold. As you can see, it's not sitting on there very level. That's not going to work. I do have hood clearance, surprisingly. I set the carburetor on there to check that out already. But as you can see, that intake is hitting that exhaust manifold. And I think we're just going to cut that off, weld a plate on there, and call it a day. So I think we're going to pull this intake off, shot that off today. But something else I wanted to show you. I got a package from Moss Motors yesterday. I think this is going to be all of the pieces we need to put this car together. So I found out as I ordered this stuff from Moss Motors that they recently bought Victoria British, who's owned by Long Motor Company, LMC. LMC truck is where I order most of my truck parts. Well, ordered most of my truck parts for the Ranger, and they're just a couple hundred miles away from me. I typically get stuff pretty quick from them, and Moss Motors did not disappoint. They shipped this stuff from Virginia and it was here within 3 days of me ordering it. Looks like it was $561. The majority of that was interior panels. Interior panels were on sale this month. I think they were $60 off. So I picked them up. I think they were $260 or something. All the interior panels in black vinyl. That will go well. Black carpet. They didn't really have a tan option, and if they did, I probably would have been nervous that it wouldn't have matched those seats very well, since that's kind of a custom leather. But all the stuff Really nice. This is a windshield to hood gasket. I noticed I don't have that rubber piece that goes between the glass and the cowling. Seat belts, 2-point. Piece of vinyl. That's got to be, I think that goes behind the seats. Covers up between the seat and the trunk, possibly. Aha! Here's the big piece I was waiting on. This is the tube that goes from the engine to the oil pressure gauge. I was hesitant to turn this engine over until I'm able to measure the oil pressure. Now we can do that. What we got in here? Unmarked package. Small parts. What do we have here? O-ring, a spring, brushes for the generator, some screws, I'm not sure what those are for, plug for that transmission inspection cover, tumbler for my ignition cylinder. I ordered the cylinder, forgot the keys and the tumbler. Plugs for the brakes, they go inside the wheels here. I think you pull those out to make your adjustments on your brake shoes. And a wire for that alternator. We found some frayed wires last time. I know it's that $3 piece we were waiting on. So those are here. I think that should allow us to hook the engine up and at minimum turn it over just to make sure it rotates and has some oil pressure. That's $561 worth of Healey parts right there. Money just doesn't go as far as it used to, right? But surprisingly cheap. Where can you find an interior panel kit for any car you're working on, be it a Chevelle, a Camaro, a Mustang? I challenge you, I bet you're not going to be able to do it. Which brings me back to, these are just great cheap, lightweight cars to mess with. If you're wanting to get into sports cars, I can't think of a better car. This is like an early, less sophisticated Miata. You know, it's not fast, it's not the best at anything, but I think they're a good all-around car, and you can get into one of these, you know, like this one when it's all done. It's going to be a really nice car. But this one, when it's all done, I'm not really expecting to get more than maybe 10, 11 on a very, very good day for it. You know, if you start off with the basket case like I did for $3,000 or $4,000, have a lot of fun like I have. This is a great little starter project if you're wanting to get into hot rods or get into sports cars, muscle cars. This is a good kicking off point if you've never messed with cars before. So that oil pressure tube is going to run from right here all the way up through the hole and into the gauges, and hook up a couple wires, and I think we're going to be set. Honestly, I pulled a battery out of the Ranger this morning to jumpstart my lawnmower, and I'm kind of half tempted to hook it on to the starter solenoid and then ground it out and pull that, see if she turns over. I think I'll throw a couple quarts of oil in this, and we might do that just to make sure the starter works before I get too excited here and start hooking up too much. I suppose we got to make sure that at least the starter's good, it meshes with the flywheel, and there's nothing crazy, no binding going on. Oh, the cat trap is activated. Weirdo found the bubble wrap. I can't keep that stuff away from him. Well, let's just throw that battery on this thing and see what happens. I'm pretty curious. I feel like we should put some oil in it. There's some 530 Mobil 1 and some 520. It's just stuff I found laying around the shop. That's pouring oil all down the inside. All down the side of the motor. And all over the floor. All right. Well, I found out that the valve cover was just sitting on here. The gasket that was there was doing nothing, and all the oil just poured right around it. Yeah, as you can see, that oil's cascading all down the cylinder head and the engine block. Way to go, idiot. Kind of pre-lube some of this stuff here if I can. I don't know if you can hear that oil draining all the way from the cylinder head and dripping down into the pan. It's making a funny noise. Well, now I got to figure out, is this a positive ground or a negative ground? I have a feeling it's a negative ground, so I'll hook the positive up to the engine block, as odd as that feels. And I'm just going to tap this on the, I guess I can tap it here. Ready? Oh, I don't know if you can see that the fan just budged. Oh, she's turning. That is the first time that has happened in probably at least 10 years. I don't know how long this thing sat before I got it. And yes, I did oil down the cylinders, but when I packaged it and put it away and painted the engine, and I sprayed a little bit more WD-40 in there this morning. We got oil starting to come out the fittings here. We have oil pressure. Nice. That's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling. There it comes. It came shooting out the oil pressure line. We primed the system. Now it's ready for an ignition and a carburetor. What a simple little car. That feels really good. I can't tell you how good this feels. I suppose now would be the perfect time to put a compression gauge on each one of those cylinders and roll it over a couple more times to make sure it's worth going forward on this. Maybe I should call this a win for the morning. It's 9 o'clock now. I've been up all night. Maybe I ought to catch a couple hours of sleep and come back and jump on this afternoon when I got a little fresher head. I think I'll do that. My buddy's not answering his phone. It's too early. I don't know where I'm going to get a compression tester right now, so I'll go grab some Z's and we'll jump back on this afternoon. Woke up. Took a couple hours of sleep. Woke up with a stiff neck. It's normal at 40 this year, so that's pretty standard. But I grabbed a couple cups of coffee and hit the garage. Here I am. Pulled that exhaust manifold off, and now I'm taking this weird plate off of here. So we're going to have to just remove the entire thing. Probably going to take a slice just right across the top here. Try to contour it to the curvature of the manifold if possible. It's probably isn't going to end up looking very pretty, but luckily the intake sits right above it and should cover up all the nasty welds I'm about to do. Well, that's a relief. It's very open inside there. So we'll just make a plate. Basically replaces this. It has a little bit of a wraparound effect. So I'll get the grinder running and we'll time lapse this whole thing. See you shortly. I I doubt that's too much of a performance-killing modification, if any, really. I do have a 1/4-inch plate available. I would like to find something a little thinner, something I can work a little easier. Because like I said, when I put a little bit of a contour on it, I'll probably grind a little bit more of this off to help roll it in. But you get the gist of it. We'll pick this back up when it's all done. Good morning. Day 3 on the Healey. I'm out in the shop before the sun today with the compression tester. Let's plug this in and make sure this engine's worth saving. All right. Well, we're gonna make a little bit of a mess with our oil situation here, but that's all right. We'll probably give it about 3 or 4 rotations. We'll just see where the gauge stops. It's about 112. It's pretty good for a low compression little engine like this. Go to number 2. Mm, 125. Cylinder number 3. That one's about 135. Getting stronger. Cylinder number 4. Uh-oh. Was it too good to be true? 70. That's not good. That could just be a valve sticking. I don't think it is. It could also be a ring. Could be some rust on a valve. Maybe it'll wear in. Maybe the rings have a little rust on them. Maybe they just need a seat. That poor starter. I mean, it's getting a little better. We're up to almost 90. I'm kind of thinking it's just wearing back in. Maybe the rings are coming back in. Number 1's up over 130 now, so maybe all the rings are coming back. That's good. Don't have a whole lot much more time on this starter. I'd hate to smoke that starter. I know they're a couple $100. Good strong compression on that one. I think that was at what, 130 before. Now we're up to 150. About 150 on 3. Now, see if we're up over at least 100 here on number 4. struggling at 90. It's not good. Unfortunately, we didn't get definitive results on the compression test. The health of the engine is still maybe a little questionable. It sounds like mechanically it's there, other than the low compression on cylinder number 4. I think we're just going to run it for now. I don't see a reason to not run it. Since we were gaining compression, we started at 60, ended up with 90. I think that one might come around. We'll just have to wait and see. So I think we're going to press on with that exhaust manifold fix, hook up some fuel and some spark, and cross our fingers. So we'll catch you on the next episode when we get that handled. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this build, let me know by hitting that like button down there. If you've got a comment or a suggestion for the build, maybe I missed something, maybe there's something very obvious that I'm overlooking, let me know. Otherwise, I will catch you on the next episode. Thanks. Get in the box. Get in the box.